Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tosh Customs and today I am very happy to bring you my 1000 Toys Spartan Snake custom figure. This is based off the 1000 Toys PX or like previews exclusive Master Chief figure. I wanted to use this versus a Spartan collection figure because there's die cast in it, the joints and articulation and range of motion are just way higher. And so I wanted to make something much more premium. I've owned two Jazzware Spartan collection figures, and I just have not been impressed with them. And I know a lot of people do customs with them, but for me personally, I just wasn't satisfied with what they bring to the table. And so I went for a much more pricey option, with this $100 figure. And it was really good. By the way, I know that like Big Bad Toy Store or like Sideshow, they have him selling for 170 on Amazon. At least right now, it's like 100 something dollars. So it is significantly lower. So if you want it, go get it on Amazon. And without further ado, let's dive into Spartan Snake. So why in the world did I go with this? Well, originally I wasn't even planning on doing this. I was just planning on making a custom Spartan, but I had this head cast for Venom Snake from Phantom Pain sitting around, and I was like, shoot, that looks really sick. And so he kind of evolved into this Metal Gear Solid Cross Halo figure, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So let's dive into it. So starting off, we will take a look at the accessories, and I'll put the figure to the side for a second. Let me pop the head sculpt off too, so we can talk about both heads. All right, so starting off with the weapons, we have the Brute Shot rifle. I haven't done anything with this. This is the previews exclusive original. One of the two exclusives that comes with it. You have a little peg that you can peg into the back port, so you can hold it on his back, and then hands to hold it in. Bing, bang, boom, done. Also, the oh shoot, I'm totally forgetting what these are called now. Wow, I'm blanking on them. But anyways, the red version of the plasma sword, so that for the exclusive, the original version came with blue. The exclusive one has red. Then we get into the guns. We have the and I'm also forgetting the name of this shotgun. Dude, I knew all of these. I knew all of these right before I reviewed it too. But anyways, we have his barrel shotgun here. I'm sorry for not knowing the names. Once again, a little pin that you can peg into his back if you want to for storage. Really cool. The only thing about this is I feel that the grip is a little far forward, and so Master Chief, or in this case Spartan Snake, it just feels like the arms are a little too far extended. I would have liked this if this was brought back just a little bit, and I think that would have been really nice, but still very cool. Then we have, hold on, I'm going to adjust my lighting just a little bit here. Yeah, that's a lot better. Then we have his rifle, and I did completely repaint this one, and I repainted this one versus the other ones because the other ones looked fine, but this one in particular was very gray. And I was looking up different reference model photos and stuff, and this was essentially just all gray plastic. So I had to do some repainting on this. So I painted some of the plating all around here in the back in matte black, and then I dry brushed it with a gray, and then I did everything in a black wash, and that really just helps pick out all the different details through it. We do have like a nice little blue display right there, and then once again another pin to plug into the back. Now his two original weapons here, I have the Spartan Kelly shotgun. I ordered this from Hottest Fuzz Customs, and really cool guy, great store. The shipping takes 3 to 4 weeks because everything's made to order, but honestly, for the quality of the stuff, it's pretty good. This is a great model. I've had some 3D printed stuff that has print lines through it, or that feels a little bit bendy. This is made out of a very hard, durable resin, and everything has been printed beautifully. So really cool. Painted it all black, gave it some dry brushing, gave it some gunmetal weathering. You can see the barrel and sort of like the extended choke here. They all have gunmetal paint through them, and then just a little bit of some black and yellow striping just for the fun of it, just to make it look a little custom. So there you go. We have that shotgun. And then last but not least, we do have something that sort of resembles a suppressed SOCOM pistol. This is actually a modded cast from blanket on this too. I've had this for years. I've bought a lot of other custom casts. It's not Lysolome, it's someone else. I'm sorry for forgetting your name right off the top. But custom pistol here. This is actually the Mezco Blade or the Mezco Death Adder pistol with a custom suppressor molded on. And once again, this is a cast. You can see I have a little red laser dot right there, some silver in the grip, as well as just a little bit of gunmetal wash, or some silver in the serrations along the laser, and then some gunmetal wash just right inside there in the grip, as well as a little bit of silver for that ejection port. So something that feels a little bit more classic Snake. So now getting to the two heads, let's take a look at the helmeted, repainted Master Chief head first. Really like this head. I've seen some people complain about what 1000 Toys did, but I actually really like how they did the visor. They painted it silver underneath the visor, and then they put a clear orange piece of plastic over the top of it. And I think that turns out really nicely because it adds some extra depth to it. I think the Spartan collection is cool how they have those chromed out visors, but I feel like this makes a lot more sense for Halo. It has a little bit of a glow to it. It has layers and depth to it, so it really feels like a visor. It doesn't feel like some kind of plate that got put over the top. It feels like, you know, someone can see through this because there's that extra surface detail because it's 2 layers. But in terms of how I repainted the head here, as you can see, hold on, let me adjust more of my lights here. This might be a little bit better. Yeah. So the normal Spartan, the normal Master Chief helmet is a very light green color. And the light green color is fine, but I personally found it to actually be a little too bright, even from the source material for Halo Infinite. And so I gave everything a black and brown wash first, just to dirty it and lower it down. And then after that, I decided to paint the bottom part of the mask like Snake's rebreather mask in Phantom Pain. And so I painted it with different sets of dark gray and matte black, and you can kind of see a color difference like right between here and here. And then up for the top here, I took some sand coloring that I used on the armor, and I dry brushed some sand coloring over it, painted this in with some dark green, as you can see, dark green versus like the black gray. And so I just picked out different things with green and gray to dirty it up. And then after that, I went through with some extra black dry brushing along all the edges of stuff to add some weathering, went over it with another brown wash to really get some brown in the cracks and crevices, as you can see right there. And then also dappled over with a little bit of gunmetal here and there to add some weathering. I also put a little orange light right there, and I have orange lights running throughout the figure as well. So that's the helmet, trying to pay nod to Halo, as well as nod to Metal Gear Solid as well. So I feel like this is a pretty good mix right there. And even though it is the Master Chief helmet, I feel like with the new paint job, it still feels pretty distinct. So there we go. Moving on to the next one, we have the custom head sculpt for Snake. I bought this from a Thanatos Arms or Thanatos Unlimited. He's on Etsy. He's also on Instagram. And this was a really cool 3D model. I had a lot of fun painting this. All the scarring in the face and everything is all actually sculpted in there, so it's really nice. There is actually just like, you know, a micrometer of depth in all that scarring and all the forehead wrinkles. And so it turned out really well. I'm going to try to bring my camera in a little bit closer here. So as you can see, I did everything. I painted it how I always paint things, which is I started off with a red wash over the gray plastic. And then after that, I started building up my skin tones from darker to lighter to really get that depth in there. And then once everything was painted, I actually dry brushed some areas with just a little bit of diluted brown. And then I actually washed over some areas like the creases in the forehead and some of the creases around the nose and stuff with some brown as well to get that extra dirt and that extra depth. As you can see, the eye patch has been painted, the eye's been painted. Just a really great sculpt and a super great pleasure to paint. Then I painted the hair gray first, or actually I started with matte black. Then I washed it with gray, then I washed it with brown, then I dry brushed with some light gray. And that really just helps pick out all the detail in the hair there. So there we go, that's the head. Obviously we have the little gunmetal shrapnel that is sticking out of his forehead right there. So very, very happy with how this turned out. It's a great head sculpt, and I feel like I was really able to bring out all that very, very beautiful detail in the paint job right there. So there we go. So now let's talk about the body, and let's slap on the Venom Snake head. So here we have the Spartan Snake in all his glory. And so once again, originally I had the idea of just making this guy a breacher. I knew I wanted to buy from Hottest Fuzz Customs. I picked out all the different Halo parts I wanted. Like, I knew I wanted a very specific shoulder. I wanted like the heavy arm guard. I knew I wanted breacher shells, you know, the collar, everything like that. I sort of planned and picked everything out. And then as I was painting it to be a breacher, I was like, man, this feels a little lackluster. It just feels like another generic Halo character. And so then I started playing with the idea of giving him an unmasked head. And I put Marvel Legends heads on there. I put different Mezco heads on, and I finally landed on the Snake head. And then I said, well, if I'm doing the Snake head, we're making Spartan Snake. And so here we go. We have Spartan Snake in the building. So I decided to base the armor off of the desert camo suit from Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. And so what that comes with is this really nice sand desert camo, which is super, super cool. And so what I had to do is, as I was repainting everything, I had to kind of plan out where I wanted to put everything. And so my idea was, I'm going to look at the source image material, and then from there, I'm going to translate it as best as possible. So I looked up a bunch of concept art. I found some official game images, and what I realized was he has like all this black web gear over the suit, but then it's essentially just camo all the way up and down, and then he's got some different little plating, and he's got his red arm. And so with that, that's sort of how, and then he has like black boots. And so to mimic all of that, I started color blocking things out. So I mixed my sand color, I painted the chest with the sand, I painted, you know, all this outer armor with the sand, and I wanted to make sure I still used a green base and maintained the green, because there are some joints here that just look, that tend to clash. And so I wanted to leave some areas green, just so that it felt still like a Spartan Halo suit and not just like sort of this redeco reskin of everything. And so I kept some green. I actually painted some areas a darker green as well, and intermixed that with my sand color. Since he had black boots, I painted some of these areas this black gray, really a gray with this black wash over it. Then you can see the boots still have some black and some green, and then some sand color in there. And then for the shoulders, I chose to make them black, as well as these upper arm areas, because that's how they match in the game. He has some pads that are black up on his shoulders. And then for the hands coming down here, remain the green on the hands, but have that camo running all the way down this arm, as you can see. And then for the other arm, since it is the cybernetic arm, I chose to actually repaint the entire upper area here black. So all around the elbow is all painted black, whereas here this edge has actually remained green, as you can see. And then picking out everything in this weathering this red color all the way down over the hands. He even has that gold stripe that runs through the forearm right there. And then we have that heavy bracer on as well. So really, really cool stuff. As you can see, I do have a bunch of weathering in here. You have layers of black, of gray, and some plating. You have black with all this weathered, rusted detail and some gunmetal scattered throughout. I had to hand paint all of this camo, and so we have that sand color, and then we have 2 tones of like this brown and green mix. Once again, more orange lighting all throughout the suit there. And then all these little pins and clips and tabs have all been picked out in black and gray so that you can see all of them. So I'm a really, really big fan. This took a long time. It took probably about 2.5 hours alone after painting all the sand color just to come through and put the camo in. Because a big thing that I had to learn for the camo is you don't, like, because I'm painting it in 2 colors, I have to do 2 runs over the figure. And so I can't fill up all the space with one color. I actually have to consciously think about the fact that I'm going to fill up more space with a second color. So I have to leave one sparse and I have to leave it looking a little incomplete. And then I run through and I have to fill in those other incomplete areas with my second tone. And so little bit trippy, and I have to do some cleanup brought some of that sand mix back. Then, once again, like I said, I bought a lot of Halo armor from Hottest Fuzz Customs. So we have this whole breacher collar up here. I took these pads from, I forget, I don't think it's Aegis. It's something else. I don't remember the name, but took some of these hexagonal pads to create this extra buffed up chest. We have this nice big old shoulder here. And once again, he was supposed to be a breacher. So my idea is to have a heavier left arm, because that is going to be taking the majority of the damage. So, you know, similar to a knight where it's asymmetrical and your shield hand or your shield arm has much heavier armor, same thing here. He's going to be holding a shotgun in his right hand. He's going to be using his left hand as a support, and this is going to be eating the majority of the fire that he's taking. This entire figure really gets set off with a bunch of washes, because you have to ask, you know, how do I make it all match? And I did that through brown washes. What I mean by brown wash is I'll take brown Angelus leather paint, I'll thin it out to where it's very, very watery, and then I'll just swipe it all over the figure and then dab it all off the painted areas with a paper towel. And what that does is whatever layers of paint you have on already, it will just slightly absorb that brown color. And so you can see all of this sand color and all of this green, it's all a little bit brown. All the camo is just a little bit brown. All the black armor here has also gotten black and brown washes, or this gray armor has got black and brown washes. And so all of the colors match, because a sand color doesn't really always match a bright green, doesn't always match a black gray. But when you have that wash over it, everything gets a little bit of that brown tone, and it sort of softens all the contrast a little bit. And so that was also really important as I was defining the different layers of the plating, and where the camo was going to go, where the sand was going to go, where I was going to keep it green, where I was going to paint it with the black and gunmetal. All of it had to be very distinct so that the complexity of the suit really, really gets to shine, but at the same time, it all feels uniform, because this is way, way, way more detailed than you would normally see on a Halo Spartan. So I had to figure out ways to keep everything still feeling uniform, despite the much more extended color palette than what you'd normally get on a Spartan. We also have shotgun shells up here on the arm, and I'm always about functionality. So the idea is, if he's holding his shotgun, right, and he needs to reload, he can take his left hand, reach over, pull the shotgun shells out, load them up. Same thing, he can pull them off his chest, load them up. If it's on the left arm, he's going to have to swap hands for the shotgun and do a bunch of, or he's going to have to put the shotgun on the ground or put it on his back and then, swap them on the hands and do a bunch of stupid stuff just to reload the shotgun. So he has them on the wrist. He can just angle his shotgun down, reach across, pick those shells up, load them in. Bang, bang, boom, and done. So now, let's talk about the process, because how in the world do you come up with this? And I have been learning something recently about customizing, which is I don't want to do an entire paint session or an entire design session and treat it like one and done. And what I mean by that is, in the past, I have sat and I've looked at a figure and I've kind of had a general idea, and then I've just started working. And that, in this case, did not work. I spent probably 2 weeks slowly making this guy. I painted him green, and then I said, okay, I have 2 tones or 3 tones of green. That doesn't feel like enough. And so then I added some areas with the black. I added the pouch here. And I said, okay, that still doesn't feel like enough. I started fitting on different pieces of armor and figuring out where I wanted all that to be, putting some sculpt underneath these and getting them all lined up. And then I said, okay, I can paint these all black. Originally, I was thinking about making the shoulder red and making the whole arm red. And I said, okay, that doesn't fit either. I need to be more specific to the game. And then I said, what kind of suit do I want him to wear from the game? He has all black. He has a bunch of different skins. And so I finally decided something that would be unique is if I went for the desert camo and you had all hand-painted desert camo all over the armor. And so I finally landed on that. But it took me many, many, many revisits on this suit to decide where I wanted the black on the shoulders to end, where I wanted it to be green, where I wanted the little orange lights to shine through, how I wanted to disperse the color properly. And it was really just taking time to let myself think. In the past, I have done all my paint sessions at once. I'll just take one day and spend 6, 7, 8, 9 hours painting and take a figure from completely unpainted to completely finished. But what that means is that the design hasn't had time to age properly. And for the next couple customs coming out, that is what I'm going to be talking about, is letting the design age properly and actually stopping before making final decisions and thinking about it more, going, I want to head in this direction. Let me take very small steps over many, many days in order to make sure that I'm satisfied with the final product. So this guy now has been sitting on my shelf for the last 2 weeks before filming this video. He's been done and he's been sitting on my shelf. I've continued to revisit him and look at him, and I really do feel 100% satisfied. There's a lot of customs on my page that I look back and I go, that was good for the time, but I can do better. Or that was good for the amount of time I spent on it, but had I spent more time, I would change things. And the big thing for me withholding this review for so long is so that I can actually spend the time to continue looking at him and go, is there anything I can improve on? Can I do better? Do I like the design? Especially since I'm crossing 2 franchises and 2 designs, I had to figure out how I was feeling about it. And if the design felt balanced. And I do feel like the design is balanced. So I'm very, very happy with that. That being said, let's swap out the head. Let's get him posed up with some accessories too. So let's click on this Master Chief head. It's a very, very small ball peg, by the way. So it's very finicky to, there we go, to click on. But there we go. Got that new Spartan helmet on. Let me grab we'll grab the red trigger hand, because originally I actually wasn't even going to paint the hands. I was only going to paint the arm, and then I was looking at it more and I realized, oh, all his, he's got a whole red hand with his red arm. I should paint that on the figure to keep it accurate. So all the left hands have actually been painted with the red to match the arm there. So now here we go. We have him with his suppressed pistol. And then let me grab a right hand, and I'll load it up with the custom shotgun. In terms of articulation, I have preserved all the articulation, and you might be wondering, how did I do that with the large shoulder pad and some other things that I've fitted on him. And oh, this hand isn't in all the way. That's why. I was like, why is it not fitting with the shotgun? There we go. That's better. Yeah, now I have the clearance for it. So the shoulder pads are on little hinges and they can just be popped out. So I actually popped out the original shoulder pad, sanded it down, and then pasted this one over. So So it actually has a full range of motion, and so it maintains everything that the old figure could do. All the original articulation has been preserved. Granted, I don't have many like articulation hindering mods. Really, the shoulder is the only one, or maybe this collar for the head, but the entire original range of motion is maintained. So I just wanted to point that out too. He can do everything he used to be able to do. So we can get him into some really, really sick poses here. And once again, this is why I wanted to go with an 1,000 toys figure, because it just allows you to do so much more, and it's so much more dynamic. And wow, that visor looks so good in the lighting. That actually looks so, so good. Check that out. So anyways, this really brings me to the end of the review. I'm very, very happy to bring you this little crossover right here. I really, really like how this figure turned out. This is for my personal collection. I don't know if I plan on selling it at the moment. I think I'm just going to gloat over it a little bit longer, and maybe in the future, maybe I'll pass him off. That's usually how it goes. I'll make something for my collection, and then at a certain point or another, I'll go, I've had my fun with it. My taste has evolved past it, or I'm just not interested in this design anymore, and I want to try my hand at it again, or I want to do something different. But for the time being, this will be hanging out on my shelf. So thank you all for checking out this video. Honestly, I have a couple figures that are backlogged that I do need to film reviews for, but I just haven't been in the content creation mood. I haven't been interested in taking pictures. I haven't really been interested in filming videos. It's just where I've been in the creative mode, so I've been working a lot and just not really documenting too much of it. But I hope to spend this Labor Day weekend filming a little bit more, hopefully, and bringing you guys a little bit more content in the future. So I appreciate all of your guys' support always. It means so much, and I hope to continue to bring you some very, very good work in the future. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, as well as following me on Instagram. That is where I post a full set of pictures and poses for this guy. So if you want some better HD photos and just sort of seeing the range of motion or some other accessories, him carrying some other weapons and whatnot, please feel free to check me out there. It is Tosh_Customs. I have my name in the description of this video. And without further ado, I appreciate all of you, and I will catch you all next time. Take care.